Welcome to the Prairie Grit Studios. This is a brand new project for us. We honestly don't know what we're doing, but we're going to give it a run. My name is Aaron. This is DJ, and today we are interviewing Dave Llewellyn. Through our videos in the past, you've gotten to see the what we do. Well, now we want you to get to know who we are. And so today, we're going to get to know Dave. Now, we are an adaptive hunting group, which means that all of our hunters have some sort of a disability. And to get you started, I want you to get to know Dave and what he's got going on. So, Dave, you've got no legs.
I've got legs. I don't have any feet. I've got legs.
One of them's holding up our stool.
Yeah, one of them's back there as decoration. Yeah. No, I was diagnosed with diabetes years ago, and through some complications in the last 10 years, I lost both my feet.
Dave has been a supporter of Prairie Grit for a long time, and we had to do some serious leg twisting is not the right thing to say.
Arm twisting
to get Dave to actually come out and go hunting with us. And so he finally bit the bullet a couple of years ago, and we've had one heck of a run over the last couple of years.
It's been a good run.
So I haven't been able to be at some of these hunts recently, and this is a perfect opportunity for Dave to tell me the story and for me to get it on camera for you guys. So.
Yeah, because tell us, Dave, you were a former hunter.
I hunted all my life.
About it.
Yep.
The loss of the legs changed that, and where's things gone from there?
The lack of mobility, by losing both my feet, I just wasn't comfortable. My balance isn't as good as it used to be, obviously. I'd given up on hunting, pretty much, and thanks to you guys at Prairie Grit, you got me back into it, and I probably hunt more now than I did before I lost my feet.
Well, I don't know how to follow that up.
Yeah.
No, I will follow that up. So all of those things that Dave said are awesome, and it touches us, and it means a lot to us. In the last year, I feel like Dave has gotten a lot of his confidence to where he's now stepping in and taking a lot of new hunters hunting. So
I took a 14-year-old out on my property, and we got him his 14-year-old doe.
That's what I'm talking about.
Well, he was 14. The doe wasn't 14.
Right.
But he filled his 14-year-old doe tag.
Very cool.
So, what's something great for that younger generation or that new hunter that's not sure what they're getting into, to have someone else with a disability help lead them through that process, I think is better than Aaron and I leading them through that process. You can relate to them on a different level than what we can.
Yeah. No, it takes a village to make it work, and
a family.
A family.
We're a family.
It is a family.
We've always said that the goal, is to let you experience something that you didn't think you'd have before. But as we've done this for years and years, what we've noticed is that people have gotten confidence, and all of a sudden they realize that a lot of those barriers that they put in their own mind aren't there as much as they were. So now they're able to push forward and, like I said, be not just a participant in the group, but be the group.
Right. And
that's been a really cool story with you.
Well, I hunted all my life, and I had a lot of good times hunting. But I'm going to say that the last 2 or 3 years hunting with Prairie Grit is the best hunting experience I've ever had. Because it's the people that are there with you, partaking in it, cheering you on. It's just amazing.
We're here to talk about elk hunting first.
Elk hunting's good.
So, this was your first experience going down to Kill Deer to Joe's Ranch. Was your elk hunt?
Yeah.
You want to talk about your first impressions?
The ranch is beautiful.
Yeah.
Of all the places I've seen in my life, that's probably one of the nicest places.
That kind of a little piece of paradise.
It's a piece of paradise.
And an amazing amount of wildlife.
It is. Yeah.
So our first evening hunt was you and Richie and I went and sat in the blind, and we had no elk sighted that evening, right?
One deer.
Yeah.
One nice deer.
Yeah.
But no elk. They came out the other end.
Yeah.
So we made adjustments for the next night.
Yep. Good thing is Joe was up on the ridge glassing, and he knew where they'd come out that evening. So.
Yep. And we got up early the next morning to see where they went back into the bottom.
So was that your first experience sitting up on a ridge glassing wildlife like that?
Like that, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty phenomenal watching all them elk down there in the corn. And just droves of elk everywhere. It was neat.
Saw some deer.
Saw some deer.
Saw a couple of nice bulls.
Saw a couple of nice bulls. That mule deer doe was 30 feet from the pickup when we pulled up. She just sat there and looked at us.
Mm-hmm.
Went out to the big rock there on the point and just glassed when the sun came up.
Beautiful sunrise.
It was a beautiful sunrise. Yeah.
Well, tell us about the night that you got your elk. going into the corn, setting up. Tell us about that whole experience, setting up in that blind. And
Got there at, I don't know, 2 o'clock, 2:30 in the afternoon, and we sat there, and a couple, 3 hours later, I think it was you that saw the elk starting to come out of the river bottom. It was like clowns coming out of a car at the circus. They just, one at a time, just kept coming out. Pretty soon there was 30 or 40 elk 400 yards in front of us, just milling around and eating and laying down.
And we had decided that was outside of your comfort zone.
I
You
wasn't
hadn't shot
comfortable
those
at
distances.
400.
Yeah.
Yep. But the night before, when they went to the corn, they'd crossed within about 100 yards of the blind we were in. But
And if I remember it, they started filtering from the alfalfa to the corn, but they were taking a different route.
they were going around the grove of cottonwood trees, which put them at
380 or something
over
like
400 to the other side of the cottonwoods, and just under 400,
that.
380 or something. Yeah.
So are you going to jump in here? Or are you just going to let us talk?
I'm listening. I wasn't there. This is a perfect
So at
opportunity
that
for me to
point in
see.
time, we watched several elk come from the herd and go to the cornfield,
Yep.
taking the route we didn't want them to take. What was
Absolutely.
your confidence level doing at that point in time?
It was starting to dwindle.
Yeah, mine too.
It,
You just keep hoping that some of them were going to
going to hope for at least one
take
of
a
them
different route.
to come the different route, and they didn't. They just kept all peeling off and going around that other way.
But in the meantime, more were coming into the field.
They were coming into the field, and they were actually feeding a little closer to us all the time.
What was the range you wanted to have them within?
I was
in order to take
hoping
a shot?
250 or closer, but when we ranged them and they were 285 or 295, whatever they were out there, looking down there through the scope, I was pretty confident.
I remember asking, you had a great rest there
Yep.
out the window.
Yeah,
I think it was 285 when we started watching that cow.
yeah,
And you're like, yeah, I feel pretty good about
yeah,
this.
yeah. I did. I felt really confident after picking up the rifle and getting a feel for it. And
And the good news is we weren't rushed.
we weren't rushed at all.
We
No. Let me shut that off.
we still had a decent amount of daylight, so we were able to
But it
be
was getting
patient.
close.
Yeah. The sun had gone down, but we probably still had a good 20, 25 minutes of
Yeah,
daylight.
yeah. And you said, if we're going to do something, we better make it happen quick.
Right,
So,
at that point, it was obvious that they weren't going to take the route we wanted them to take.
right.
So make something happen.
And the cow we were looking at, every time I'd get on her, one would walk behind her, or she'd walk behind one, or whatever. And when she finally gave us the shot,
There must have been 3 or 4 times when we're like, okay, she stopped, she gave us a shot,
Yep.
and then something interfered with it.
something would interfere. And then the last time, she stopped, and it was a clear, nothing behind her, nothing in front of her. Getting ready to pull the trigger. My gun was stuck on safe. The trigger wouldn't pull, and I couldn't get the bolt open.
It's weird how that happened.
There was a definitive click at that point in time.
But fiddled around and got it ready to go, and you guys still had her on camera out in front, and put it on her and pulled the trigger, and heard a whack. DJ said, "She's down, but you shot the wrong one."
Yeah, see, I wasn't there, but I've seen the video. So you had the kill shot right on the middle of the camera, right?
That's where it
Easy
should
for me
be.
to edit.
Right.
Yeah, it's right there.
Well, yeah, what had happened we had been following one cow, nice big cow. She was the closest to us, and followed and set up. Well, then Dave had the issue with the rifle. So when he came back up and pulled the rifle back up, the 2 cameras were still on the cow we'd been watching.
It was the rifle. That's what did.
Dave
It wasn't the rifle; it was a shooter.
Dave ended up on a cow that was like 2 to the left of that one. But fortunately, it ended up still in frame.
And she was still a nice cow.
She was a really good cow.
Yeah, she was a good cow.
So, so we get her down. What are your thoughts going out there and actually, because she was in a little dip. We saw some dust flying, but we couldn't see her.
When we're going out there to her, and what's sticking in my head is you shot the wrong one. And she's laying in a little low spot. Son of a gun, I shot a calf.
And
until we get up to her, and I realize she's in a low spot, and that's not a calf.
I had actually, when we left the blind, Dave was getting some stuff, and I went up to Richie and go, I hope to God he didn't shoot a calf, because I know he didn't shoot the cow we were on. And fortunately, she was a big cow. That was a really nice one.
Yeah.
Tell me how it feels.
It is amazing.
They weren't cooperating, so he shot a little longer than he wanted to, but he made her count.
Thank you. Thank you.
That is a mature cow.
No, it was good. I knew elk were big. I didn't realize how big until you're standing above one looking down at her. So
then it was a matter of Joe showed up. We did a lot of handshaking and picture taking.
Yeah. Us in our hunting clothes and Joe's in his meeting clothes out there helping get dirty and helped us get her in the back of the.
So that worked out good. We field dressed her in the field, and we were able to take her up into Joe's shop, and we butchered her right there on the spot.
No, it worked out good. Yeah.
So once in a lifetime hunt?
Once in a lifetime hunt.
Well, in North Dakota.
In North Dakota, yeah. So. And you couldn't ask for a better place than at Joe's.
No.
It's just amazing. And his hospitality and Darcy's hospitality, you can't find nicer people.
No, and what a blessing to have a place like that
Absolutely.
for us to go spend our weekends.
Yep.
It's pretty amazing.
I think one of the topics that's going to be reoccurring for us is that how we have fantastic landowners and people who just selflessly give to us over and over and over again.
Without a doubt. At this point in time, we actually have properties that we haven't gone out and explored yet because we've had that many offers. How many hunting groups can say, I've got more property than I know what to do with? But that's the magic of Prairie Grit.
People see what we do and they see our videos and they see this and they're like, oh, it's amazing the things you do. Well, it's like none of this happens without those people. Right. So that's a huge thing.
Well, just a testament to Joe. He had a meeting in Bismarck that day. He got home just in time to go out and sit by the rock, glass that field and watch them elk. That elk hit the ground, and it wasn't 5 minutes. He was down there in his side-by-side, ready to get to work.
Short pack job, is that what you're saying?
It was a short pack job. He helped us out by loading her by tilting the bed on the side-by-side.
Well, we don't have any of the rest of the group here, but we could talk about the pheasant hunt with Pheasants for the Future this fall, because that was your first experience on that. And I didn't happen, neither one of us were there that day, but you guys had an exceptional day.
We shot a lot of pheasants that day. That's the first time I'd ever hunted out of a tracked wheelchair. And just amazing.
Dave, can you tell the people that are watching who might not have seen a tracked wheelchair? Because obviously it'd be difficult for you to be, running through cattails and things without your feet. So what is the tracked wheelchair like? And what's it like hunting out of that thing?
It's hard to explain. It like sitting in a chair I'm sitting in now, except for big tracks on each side, and you got a remote or a joystick on it. And
are they pretty stable? Do you feel
they're very stable.
Yeah.
I was in the smaller of the two that day, and we were taking it through slough bottoms and through cattails and over rocks, and
Now, we're fortunate enough that we, as a group, have a couple of these tracked wheelchairs. But for people who maybe aren't part of our group and are looking into something like that, the North Dakota Game and Fish does have one that you can actually, I think it's borrow. You don't have to rent it, right? You can
just borrow it.
Yeah, you can borrow it out. And that's a really awesome, opportunity for some people who might have some mobility issues.
I would highly recommend it.
Yeah.
Like I say, they're life changers.
So you shot birds?
Shot birds. I missed quite a few to begin with, but then...
We've got to talk about those.
Yeah, we all missed
well,
those.
Then we figured out what I was doing wrong, and it didn't take long to fill out after that.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Those guys at Pheasants, they really care a lot about what we're doing, and I've talked to quite a few of them after the hunt, and you talk about changing people's lives. DJ and I almost get to where we're used to it, where you see somebody who hasn't been a part of this and they're a part of it for the first time, and they're like, I need to do this all the time, and those guys have been talking about it since October.
That's a good point, because I wouldn't say that I ever get numb to it. And every one of those hunts is magical. You enjoy it, but after you've done it, you go into logistics mode. Okay, we've got an animal on the ground. We got to tag the animal. We got to do pictures. We got to get pickups. Sometimes I have to remind myself to just stop and take in that moment and not go into logistics mode.
Yep.
And seeing it through eyes of new people is a really good way to do that.
So how many hunters were there at the pheasant hunt with you guys?
There was myself and Scott and Palmer and Ben. There was 4 of us.
And in future episodes, you're going to get to meet all of those people.
So we took turns. Started out the first tree row. Scott was on one side in the track chair. I was on the other. Got to the end of it. And that first walk that we did, Scott and I limited out. So then we gave the chairs to Palmer and Ben, and I think it took them a tree row and a half, and they got limited out. But there wasn't many birds in the second tree row. But
and the Pheasants for the Future guys, they come, they bring their dogs.
They had their
bring
dogs.
everything.
It was amazing watching them dogs work.
Yeah, I've
Just
been on that hunt
amazing.
the previous years, and their pointing dogs are they're ideal for hunting with the track chairs like
Yep.
that, because once that dog locks up on a bird, then you've got to get that chair to where,
Yep.
okay, I think the bird is going to go
Yep.
that direction. So having those well-behaved, really good hunting dogs is the key to
Absolutely.
that hunt.
And then Mike was walking alongside me, and when one of the dogs would point, he would actually take a hold of the joystick on the wheelchair. And if that bird got up and I wasn't quite right, but I couldn't move the chair, he would swing the chair around, or he'd go, well, I think he's going to go this way, so he'd get me pointed in the right direction. No, it was amazing.
Cool.
Them guys are phenomenal.
We're going to dive into the antelope hunt
Yep.
at some point in time. But we're going to talk about the challenges. That was not what any of us expected or ready for.
That was miserable.
Yeah, that was my toughest trip. That was my toughest antelope hunt as far as weather goes, without a doubt. So,
Well, this is another, just talked about how awesome it is to have landowners that are fantastic. I mean, Jim has had us at his place for the last 4 years.
thank for yep.
Yeah, and I mean, hospitality, he loves having us there. He treats us all like we're family, but you also get to see just a different way of life that you're not used to, like a down home Wyoming rancher.
A real Wyoming ranch, not out of the movies.
If you looked at an encyclopedia and you opened up Wyoming rancher, it's a picture of Jim in there.
Yep.
And it's just so awesome. And he has this beautiful ranch that has antelope that he manages himself well. He's got some rules because he cares and he's a steward of those antelope. And
Right.
I think that's so great.
And his stories are amazing as well.
Right. And so then you get a chance to be there, and the weather is
Terrible at best.
Yeah, I've hunted Wyoming. I've hunted that ranch many times. I've hunted Wyoming many times for antelope, and I'd never hunted when it was 35 degrees and raining sideways before. It was a less enjoyable experience, I'll be honest with you, Dave.
I agree. The first day we didn't see an antelope.
well, we kind of like to get them when they're going to water, when they're thirsty because of the heat.
Not looking for somewhere to stay warm.
All right.
But it didn't help. I actually didn't mind the 35 degrees and rain in the beginning, because you would forewarn me that when it gets a little chilly at night to check the blinds for rattlesnakes in the morning.
Yeah.
I didn't like that.
We've never had that problem, but I always check.
I didn't like that idea at all. But it was still a good time. Like I say, it was cold and it was rainy and everybody was wet. And
We're still hunting.
absolutely.
We're hunting. We can go through the logistics. We can come up with blind spots, and we can have lifts and wheelchair accessible this and this and this. And in the end, we're going hunting.
Well, it's a wild animal. It's Mother Nature. Two
Right.
things that we can't control.
Right on. Yep.
During our hunts, we've had where we worry about people who can't regulate temperature for too hot, too cold. We've never necessarily thought we'd have to do them in reverse, where we'd have to go 1 year from being too hot to being too cold in antelope season. But we're going hunting.
We went hunting.
Yeah, so you tried the blind the first day. You guys sat in the blind for a lot of hours.
Yeah,
It must have been 10.
full day.
Yeah.
At least 8, if not 10 hours we sat in the
Yeah.
blind.
Coffee was gone by first 3 hours.
Good thing Dan brought a lot of
I was
snacks.
like, snacks are the most important part when you're sitting in a blind.
And an extra coat, because I didn't have enough clothes with me.
So the next day, the weather wasn't any better, maybe
No.
worse.
I think it was worse because, I don't know if it was worse, but the way the blind the second day was positioned, the rain blew in. the day before, we could shut the back all down and the windows are back there and you wouldn't get wet or feel the wind so bad.
Did you set the blind for a little while the first day?
We
the
set the
second day?
windmill.
We sat,
I thought you set
we
the
sat at the
windmill.
windmill until probably 2 o'clock.
Yep. And we watched antelope
We
all
saw,
around.
we saw antelope.
Yep.
The frustrating part of Wyoming is that you can see for 2.5 miles
Yeah.
and you could watch. We had a group of, I think, like 25, 26 antelope up on the side hill, and they were just a mile away and they wanted nothing to do with that water.
Aaron even tried the old grocery bag technique where he belly crawled out to the rail and he tied a white grocery bag on there thinking that
I
might
tried
bring
to
him
look
in.
seductive. I did my best.
Which was disappointing because that blind had great antelope activity the day before.
Yep.
But again, these are wild animals and not the normal situation you're going to be hunting.
They don't need to go looking for water when it's 35 degrees and raining.
So the antelope wouldn't come to you. Then it was time to go try to find antelope.
Try to find antelope. And we saw a lot of antelope while driving.
I think this is a good time for people who don't know much about adaptive hunting. You know, if you have a mobility issue in most of the states, you're able to get a shoot from the vehicle permit. Obviously, we can't go out spot and stalking. And so we took the truck out spot and stalking.
Yeah, and I've got a shoot from the window permit. So everything's good there. We saw, like I say, we saw a lot of antelope on the road driving around. We just couldn't make it happen.
They were awfully skittish.
They were skittish.
Right.
And
I think it was funny that you could drive really close to them in your pickup, and we would get within a quarter of a mile of them in that diesel, and they'd run.
Well, I don't know if that says something about me or something about you.
Well, I think it's a little something of both, but yeah, I don't
it
know.
could be a lot of experience.
Could be.
With that.
Could be.
And we had an interesting situation because Wyoming had been very dry. Very dry. So we didn't want to drive anywhere off of the trails on Jim's place because we didn't want to risk the fire. But at the same time, we've had rain for 2 days that wasn't enough to really make it so we're not worried about the fire, but it was enough to get the top layer of everything wet enough that we didn't want to rut everything up.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and an antelope is an animal that can get enough moisture from dew or from grass, whatever it eats, that if there's any moisture content there, they don't have to water.
Yeah.
And with no heat, there was no reason for them to come to water. So the
didn't
only
wanna
thing was to
come
go
to
to
us.
them.
and we couldn't get to them well.
Right.
So
Right.
we played the game. But eventually, we found one.
We found one. Yeah, we found one. We got the job done on him.
Yeah.
Was it-
So
No, that was your first antelope,
that
correct?
was my first
Awesome.
antelope. Yep.
Yeah, it's a cool experience.
It is.
It really is.
It is.
And good eating.
They are good
They're
eating.
very good eating.
Yeah. I'd heard horror stories about how they are, but I don't agree with that anymore.
No, I told you, it's a matter of how you take care of
That's
them.
right.
If you throw
That's
it in the
right.
back of your truck and it's 100 degrees for 5 hours, yeah,
Drag them 3 miles through the sagebrush.
Yep.
it's
after
not
you
going to taste good.
process them. Yeah.
Our goal with an antelope is to get your pictures taken and get it in a cooler as soon as possible, and then it's really good table fare.
Yep. No, it's delicious. It's delicious.
So after 2 days of struggling, and you finally get up to this thing after the rodeo that we have went through, trying to get it to happen, how are you feeling about it?
Excited.
Yeah.
It like with anything, it works out and you get an animal on the ground.
Well, we're mid-afternoon on the second day. You got to be thinking, is this going to work?
I'm starting to wonder if we're going to tag the antelope for me.
Well, I've got a question for you, and it's not something we've talked about before, but it's something that just kind of came to mind. When we're watching videos, and this is like I said, 4th or 5th time that we've been to Jim's place. So obviously you've seen the place before.
I have.
You've watched people be successful. You've seen their hunts. You've seen what it's like. Do you come into the hunt with any sort of an expectation? Are you do you almost feel nervous? Like, oh, I gotta do this? Or when it doesn't go exactly like everybody else's, what are you thinking?
I don't believe I was nervous going into it. I think in the back of my mind, after watching everybody else's videos, I was probably too overconfident,
And that was
thinking this is like going to the zoo.
We'll be done before breakfast.
Well, and that was the
Right.
exact thought going through my head because I've hunted the antelope quite a bit. I've hunted this ranch quite a bit. That was the toughest hunt. Yours was the toughest hunt we'd had for antelope.
And I'll be the first to admit I got discouraged.
And it was weather. It was the worst weather conditions we could have asked for that
Yeah,
hunt.
yeah. But it was still hunting,
Yeah.
and it was still fun, and carry that memory for the rest of my life.
It's amazing how fast that discourage goes away
Absolutely.
when that tag goes on that animal. You know,
Well, it's a whole nother sense of reward when you're you don't want to say it's not gonna happen, but in the back of your mind, it's there. Is
Sure.
this gonna work? Is it gonna work? And then when it finally works, it's a whole nother level of reward.
Yep. Yeah, you forget all about thinking that this isn't going to happen.
well, I've talked to people over the years about prairie grit hunts, and somehow, and maybe it's because when you see a video, you usually see a highlight reel of what happened. Somehow people have an idea that this is a layup. It's all a layup. You come in, you shoot the animal, everything high-fived, everything's cool.
It's not the way it is.
We go hunting. We've had people spend 25 nights in a deer stand trying to hunt a deer. We've had people so cold that, we go hunting. And yours is a perfect chance to talk about, like, we went hunting.
We went hunting.
Yeah, we've hunted from 97 degrees above zero to 14 degrees below zero. Not many people can say they hunt that range in a year's time.
Right.
That was 2 days apart.
Not quite that. But, so what are you looking forward to this coming year?
I'm not sure yet. I don't know.
Definitely some turkeys.
I'll send in for a
Got the turkey bug.
Yep.
Whoa. Dave, you went
Yes,
turkey
sir.
hunting with us this year.
I did.
Let's talk turkeys real quick. Yeah. Heck yeah. So, Big Tom, right? I did everything I could to pressure you to get a full body mounted because I'm the worst possible influence there could ever be.
The funny part about that is I stopped and talked to the taxidermist about that. He didn't have room in his freezer for it.
Oh. That's the excuse.
Yeah.
Well, for your next one, we've got a big freezer here. So now
I've got a big freezer now too.
we can store your bird this spring.
I shot that elk. I had to buy a freezer. So
there you go. No, just eat enough elk that you can fit a turkey in there.
oh, we're getting close. We're getting close.
Cool.
No, the turkey hunt was fun. That was.
Yeah.
I'd shot a turkey before. Not like that. It was.
Sure.
We went walking through valleys and there's turkeys over there. We tried to put a sneak on them and got a lucky shot, but sitting there and bringing the turkeys to us, feeling the discouragement of them coming.
Just a theme here, Dave.
And then walking away. But
Well, that's a good point. What we're doing is it's a different style of hunting than a lot of people do. And we almost have to do that because of the adaptive nature
Absolutely.
of it. But there's a thrill of trying to get that animal to come to you instead of you going to it. At least I think so.
it is.
Yeah.
Because we're set up this way. They came this way and they weren't coming around that corner. So quietly open up the other window on the backside of the blind and get the curtain out of the way.
Well, and we had been out a time before that
Yep.
when the turkeys, like one of the turkeys wanted to come and the other one didn't, and they just went back and forth
Yep.
all evening long. Like, Dave, this is turkey hunting.
Yep.
You can't predict what
Absolutely.
these things are going to do.
Yep.
Yeah, I take a lot of the blame. We were calling those birds in from half a mile. And they were, every little call I would do, they were just fired up. Then they get close and they're like, ooh, that one's sick.
That's not true though, because 95% of them came in,
So
but they got
that
over to
close.
our side, and whatever that was in the tall grass over there,
Sure.
they pecked around in there and rooted in there, and then they just walk away.
Well,
They didn't care about the decoy. They didn't care about nothing else.
for an old bird, some people I've heard more people talk trash about turkeys, and they're one of my favorite things to hunt because they are frustrating, but you get to talk to them and they talk back to you. And just when you think it's going to happen like a layup, they hang up just outside of that window and then you cry as they walk away.
But a lot of people say, oh, turkeys are so stupid. Turkeys aren't stupid. They're smart.
Well, people see them in town, in parks and things like that, and they're conditioned to humans.
Right.
So you can drive up there and roll the window down and talk to
Yep.
them or whatever.
How hard can it be?
But get out there on their terms.
Right.
And I'll say, I've been turkey hunting for years. One day I go out and turkey comes right in and we get him. Like, I know what I'm doing. I'm pretty good at this.
Till
the
the
next
next time.
3 times, I'm like, I am the worst turkey hunter on the face of the planet. I should just quit.
Yeah.
But like Aaron was saying, that's part of the excitement of it.
Right.
When it finally comes together for you.
Yep. Yeah, for those that think that the prairie grit hunts are staged, come sit in the blind.
Yep.
Come sit in the blind. You'll see that it's not. It's
At times, we've got a lot of equipment that snaps and creaks and crackles and pops, and it would be super easy for somebody who has perfect mobility to say, oh, the turkeys are right behind me. The deer's right behind me. I'm just going to turn and shoot out that window. But the amount of times over the years that it's trying to parallel park a wheelchair backing around, and, when you finally get there, it goes back where you were just at, so you try to do it again. It's far from that layup that we're
It's
talking
not
about.
a layup.
But it's fun, and I wouldn't change it for a dang thing.
It's not even a free throw.
No, it's a half-court shot.
It's a team effort.
It's a team effort.
It's a team effort.
Absolutely.
There's no doubt about that.
Yep.
Cool. Right on. Geez, I think we covered a whole season worth of hunting.
We got elk, we got antelope, turkey.
So Dave has obviously been with us for, as I said, a couple years, and we just talked about 1 year's worth of hunts. And so our main focus with this is to complement all of the cool video stuff that we've done in the past. So shameless plug to our YouTube channel. Check out some of the stuff we've done before. Dave, were you in the Last Grit movie?
No.
Bear hunt.
Your bear hunt was.
I don't think I was part of the Grit
It wasn't
movie.
part of the Grit movie.
Okay,
But it was
YouTube
goes
video.
to the Prairie or something is what the video
We've
was
got
called.
all of every hunt that we've done, at least that I've been able to film or that they've been able to, we've got on our YouTube channel. We've got 3 movies going anywhere from 20 minutes. I think one's over an hour because somebody got a little
right at an
over-
hour. No, that was perfect.
Got a little out of hand with the.
Them are the
with
best
length.
ones.
But then we've also got, I think, a dozen of our adventures over the last couple of years on the YouTube channel, and we're gonna continue making those as we can, but also use this podcast as our way to share our story.
And just stepping back a second, the bear hunt was the first hunt I went on with Prairie Grit
Yeah.
last spring, or 24,
Yep.
spring of 24.
It took some serious peer pressure to get you to come on that thing too.
It did, but
That's great, man. That's awesome.
that again is an experience I'll never forget.
See, I met Dave. We were playing wheelchair basketball,
Yep.
and every time we're playing wheelchair basketball, Dave's talking about guns. He's talking about hunting. He's talking about us going hunting. And then when we bring up Dave, oh, come hunting with us. I don't want to take it away from somebody who says. It's like, well,
and I still feel that way.
this is what we do, Dave.
I know that's what you do, but I always feel that there's somebody more deserving. Give them the opportunity.
There's
I
not
shouldn't say
someone
more deserving.
No.
Give somebody else the opportunity that hasn't experienced the opportunity. You know what I'm saying?
And that's a quality we admire, but you've also become someone who's giving back to Prairie Grit by
Well-
taking other people out hunting. We just talked earlier, we'll probably be turkey hunting down one of your deer hunting spots this spring. Brand new spot for us. So you're giving back. You're giving as much as you're
That's
getting.
the least I can do. It's Prairie Grit has changed my life. So
Man. I think
Changed
you
all of our
join
lives.
the club on that one,
yeah, without a doubt.
Cool. Well, guys, I think that's a good place to wrap up episode number 1. What do you think?
We'll see how we did.
Yeah, I don't think it
Episode
was too
number
bad.
1 in the Prairie Grit studio. It's not
I
as
like it.
glamorous as it looks on camera, is it?
Do you know what we should have done? We should have come up with like a script on how we're going to end this thing.
But
See you next time, folks. No.
but are you planning on using the whole thing like that?
Yeah,
or-
I think we'll try to do a full podcast with it once, and then we'll overlay video. And we're going to leave it up to everybody who watches it to write comments and let us know what you think. And we'll take constructive criticism to a point.
So, important thing to know, this is our first podcast video.
And I said constructive.
Yep. So we'll see how we do from here.
All right, cool. Well, we'll see you guys on the next one.
All right, thanks.
Hey,
I like it.
not bad.